What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Salty Runback, here to be your weekly intake of North American Developmental League of Legends. We are back after a 1-week break as we are continuing our journey throughout the summer split. We just wrapped up the Swiss stage of the NACL qualifier, our last one of 2024, and of course, the NACL season. Just 2 weeks remaining until we know our 8 playoff teams and which 2 teams will be sending down to that promotion tournament. My name is Grapes. I'm joined alongside Hawk. Hawk, how are you doing today?
Grapes, I'm doing very good, honestly. You know, we're recording at like a normal time of day, I feel like. Well, maybe not for you because you've been living on gremlin hours, but you know, like a nice noon recording. It's the middle of the day. We got League of Legends to talk about. It is like basically the exact middle of the week. And we've had a good couple of weeks ever since our week-long detox from League of Legends.
Yeah, you went on vacation, went down to back home over on the East Coast. I hope that you had a good time there. We had a break from the qualifiers, which was kind of a nice thing to have. And
Worked out pretty well.
and as we move into qualifier 2, things look a little bit different. If you guys haven't seen already on my social media, I've started a bit of a temporary position. With another job, so I'll be a little bit more disconnected from the qualifiers and from the league space over the next few weeks as we wrap up our summer split. But I'll be back for the grand finals at least of qualifier 2, and we'll see what happens from there. But for now, we're gonna have a lot of really cool guests over on our qualifiers broadcast at twitch.tv/NACL2 every Saturday and Sunday. Hawk, you got to cast with Yanni for the Swiss bracket, got some really unhinged things out of the way. So make sure you still tune in over there because it was a good time.
Yeah, we had fun. We had a lot of fun. Yanni's the GOAT. Shout out Yanni. We're going to have another guest on this weekend that'll be announced before the show starts on social media this time because I totally remembered to announce Yanni in time last time. I've already scheduled the tweet. And we've got another guest the week after that, and the week after that. It's going to be fantastic. And then Grapes comes back. And qualifiers, I think it's going to be really fun. If I had to, talk about this tournament, I think we've got a lot of like pretty solid teams, I think. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. So make sure you tune in.
Yeah, I know your Salt Street bets didn't end up working out in terms of one specific team you thought was going to join, but there's still a lot of new rosters that we'll talk about.
And we should tell the people, Grapes has been a benevolent person. For those that did not see, Ole Miss pulled out of the qualifiers due to some unfortunate circumstances. So that fucks me both because I predicted them as a promotion team and because I did a prop bet that Shogo would get a pentakill. So Grapes has so kindly allowed me to choose a new AD carry that is not Array.
I made sure that you're not allowed to pick Array because that would have been
a pentakill. So here and now, before gods and men, I will proclaim Sushi as my champion and bend the knee to the Lotus AD carry. He's gonna get a pentakill for my prop bet.
What is it, like 3-1 odds or something, or 4-1, 3-1, something like that?
I don't remember what the odds were. They are not nearly good enough for a Sushi pentakill, but they are completely reasonable for a Shogo pentakill. So we'll go with it.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes you were the one who picked an Ole Miss player, knowing the risk, and so
I should have factored that into the odds. Do you think I could just pivot Komodo to be my promotion team as well, or?
Let's move on to our headlines. We'll talk about the qualifiers in a little bit. Let's start off, though, with the NACL as we just concluded our third to last week of the regular season. After all those super weeks that we had during the break, it felt a little bit weird to just see 2 series happen per day, but kind of is what it is right now. And so we'll have 8 more games, I believe, 8 more series 8 more series for the rest of the season. But some of those series will be with different rosters than we once imagined. There were a couple of roster changes that happened. Most notably, Disguised lost Tomo because he signed to 100 Thieves. Hope everything's okay with Meech. He was a really awesome player to watch in the LCS his rookie year, so hope that he ends up coming back stronger. But glad that Tomo gets this opportunity. But it does mean that DSG has an open spot. They ended up going, at least for this week, with Tenacity in the ADC position and Brandini back at the top lane for some reason. And then AoE makes their weekly roster change. They're running City Witty and Mobility for their last 2 games, seemingly, of the split. There's a lot to unpack here, Hawk. But my question is, maybe which one do you hate less?
Dude, like, oh my god. I mean, the AoE roster changes as a whole are just goofy as hell. Like, City coming in for NXI is kind of like trading one player that I was wondering why they were there to another player that I'm kind of wondering why they're there, to be completely honest. I mean, I think City's fine, but he also hasn't played since, like, has he played at all in 2024? Am I crazy? I don't think he's played since 23.
Yeah, he might not have actually.
So it's like I think he's fine, but what form is he going to be in? The mobility for Wixie, that to me is perhaps Wixie just decided to step away and they needed someone to fill. I don't feel like if you were trying to genuinely upgrade this AoE team, you would get rid of Wixie, although he didn't have the best split. Good for mobility, it's whatever. Like, yeah, the AoE roster changes are kind of a circus at this point. The crazy one, and to answer the question of worse NACL roster change, Brandini? Has he played competitive since 2021? Like,
Okay.
I cannot possibly fathom this decision.
I'm gonna hold out. I'm gonna hold out some hope here for DSG for a second. I genuinely do not believe that this will be the actual roster for like after this week. I think they probably
It better
were,
not be.
I mean, yeah, this screams to me as they were coming to roster lock, and we already had to like let go of Tomo, and we need somebody to just fill in for us for this week, and so we're gonna play with Tenacity at bot lane, and Brandini maybe was just like kind of around and wanted to help out. Hey, Brandini's kind of the expert sub. Remember, he subbed in for Doklo when he went up to what was it, Team Liquid Challengers back in 2021 off of Wildcard.
That's what I mean. This is 2021, bro.
Right. I mean, he was old. He was like a retired pro that time too.
Fucking hell.
We'll see. And Tenacity obviously has been playing a lot of those marksman top lane, so maybe we're coping a little bit. But this is not, I think, DSG's final form. I think they're going to try to find someone else. This might be AoE's final form, and I feel like at this point, with all the rosters that like every week there's just going to be new players playing for them, and I'm just going to kind of ignore it because it doesn't matter either way. It's going to kind of just be that they're going to demote, they're going to get relegated, and it sucks for for that organization and for those guys. But they should have probably built something better. That's all I'll say on AoE.
I am sad for some of the players in AoE that I know are just kind of trying their best and trying to make a name for themselves in the NACL, but I don't feel bad for the org at all. I mean, they made their shit bed and now they have to lay in it. They completely beefed their season by just, complete GMing malpractice, to be honest with you. For Disguised, the interesting thing to me is I feel like all these roster changes have signaled, and I tweeted about this, that seemingly Dragoon's Goons is committed to playing together, because surely we would have reached out to Array or Dragoon or whoever for top lane and 80 carry substitutions. I mean, surely, right, guys? So, the boys are going to promote, probably. That's going to be super fun and good for them. Even though I think, like, kind of a bold move if Array did get reached out to by Disguise to not go to the streamer team, because that definitely comes with exposure and stuff like that, and I think Array would be very good for that team. But hey, better for tier 3 if Array stays.
Yeah, I definitely see the arguments of
like.
Yeah.
Oh, so go ahead.
I definitely see the arguments of people like saying you should not leave a qualifier team like Dragoon's Goons to go into the NACL. If it's a team like AoE, I thought this was actually a situation where maybe it would have made sense a little bit if Array decided he wanted to go to Disguise, whether it was because of the pay or also because that honestly is a roster that has the potential to do pretty well in the NACL. He's in Array is like an ADC, you can plug and play pretty well. But hey, it signals to me that the boys want to stick together, and I think that's pretty cool.
Like, and I think it makes sense too. I don't know if like Sushi would have gotten reached out to. He's still very green, but like I feel like it would make sense for someone like Sushi to say, I'm going to continue playing in tier 3 because you can develop in like a stable environment or something.
Yeah.
The crazy one to me is that Lynx was right there and then now is playing on Komodo. Like, sorry, Komodo. I feel like it would have been completely fine to blow up the roster so that Lynx could play in the NACL because they're probably not going to go to promotion anyway. I mean, maybe.
Well, remember, he didn't want to play NACL like in the summer. Remember, he like.
That's true. Yeah, maybe
water.
he's just kind of gaming with the boys on Komodo 2022 Taco Gaming, but that is the more puzzling one to me. I mean, if Lynx said no, Lynx said no, but and that's totally fine, totally valid. But like, if Disguise did not try to get Lynx, that is interesting.
Yeah, I hope maybe. Hey, my boy Rocco's available. Maybe. This
Also,
guy.
yeah, Rock. Like, man, there's
Give
so
that
many
guy a
good AD
call.
carries.
Give that guy a call.
Yeah,
Hey, still a lot of opportunities. Maybe they were just exploring options and did not want to make a final decision until maybe next week. So that is what I'm hoping for. If
Brandini.
Tenacity is playing ADC the rest of the split, like that's really bad. And DSG should try to figure something out. There are a lot of ADCs out there, or not, maybe not a lot, but a decent amount, I think, at the very least, that could make for a competitive roster, which I think DSG should be. So,
Yeah.
oh, another roster change we never talked about. Kryra got is
Oh
getting some
yeah.
games on CCG, and I'm really excited about that. I think Chad's a really solid player, but at this point, it seems like this is just a decision that CCG has made to be starting Kryra, and I'm very
Yeah.
happy for him. And they've actually been winning some games.
I can't believe I forgot about this. Yeah, fucking Kryra is awesome. Should have been playing in the NACL from the start of the split. At least he is now. I'm going to take the 1% of credit that I did tell CCG management about Kryra before the split. So, boom, let's go Kryra. Keep killing it. Excited for the young player.
Yeah. We'll talk about CCG a little bit later, but first let's talk about one of the teams that we were expecting to do a little bit better this split, and that's our defending champions in FlyQuest Challengers, who dropped the series 2-1 against our boys Blue Otter. That was really fun. Shout out to Blue Otter. Levitate had a really great series. That's the third series loss that FlyQuest Challengers has had this split. They lost to Blue Otter, they lost to Dragonsteel, and they also lost to Disguised back in week 5. So now FlyQuest are sitting at 4-3. They're in this mix at the middle of the pack right now. Are we concerned about this team at all, Hawk, or are they still the title contenders that we thought of them at the start of the season?
So I'll keep my answer pretty simple. Is it depends on what the concern is for, like whether or not they'll be a contender. No, I don't think I'm that concerned. Whether or not they're the favorites to win, definitely. I am a little bit worried about their odds to win a title. Like, I think they should still be, probably by season end, like a top 4 team. But this FlyQuest Challengers team should be aiming higher than that, and I am legitimately concerned about their ability to win a title given their current form. If I'm being honest, Grapes, I think Bradley has not looked very good, and him and Shaden just don't really look like they enjoy playing together, and I think that's a big part of the reason why they're 4-3 right now. I hope they can figure it out. I really like Bradley as a player, and I want to see him succeed, but he has just looked a little bit shaky in the mid lane, and it's been costly for FlyQuest.
Yeah, I think we severely underestimated the value that a player like Quad brought to this team. The entire season that FlyQuest was playing, we all were like, yeah, Quad's good, but like, let's talk about these other players. Sajed, Surdy, even Chime down in the bottom lane, like doing his thing. But Quad really held that team together, and it seemed like him and Shaden, as you're kind of alluding to, played together just a little bit better. And I don't want to discredit Blue Otter at all. I think they played. They are a very fun team, and they're having a really fun arc as like they kind of go throughout the season. But yeah, I think it just goes to show that this is not the FlyQuest that we talked about, and maybe they were right in promoting Quad to the LCS, and that's what you do with your developmental system, right? If you have a roster change that, you know, from your developmental system, that might hurt your dev team a little bit, but it will come with your pro team doing good. Like, obviously, you have to make that choice, and so we are not faulting FlyQuest at all for that. But yeah, maybe their roster is not as big of a contender when you have somebody who, you know, is now currently like a top 2, top 3 mid laner in the LCS playing on your team last split.
Yeah, definitely.
So, do you think that they're second best? Do you think they're third best? Where would you power rank them right now?
Honestly, it's really hard to say. I think right now, I guess I would power rank them third. Like, do I think Fear's that much better than them? I don't know. They're like second or third. I think like the main thing is Dragonsteel is obviously the best, and then FlyQuest is just not been inspiring. Like, again, I think I do not have them as a favorite to win the trophy right now, but like they're still going to be a top team, surely. Like, they can beat everybody, and they should beat pretty much everybody. So yeah, I guess that's my feeling. I know that's kind of a non-answer, but there's a huge soup in the middle, and I do still feel like when it all shakes out in the end, FlyQuest will still be one of the stronger teams in the soup.
Talked about the soup in the middle. Let's move on to our teams maybe a little bit further down, as I think there are now 6 teams that are locked
Yes.
into the playoffs. That is
Dragonsteel,
Dragonsteel,
Fear-
Fear, Disguise, FlyQuest, Supernova, and Team Liquid. There's AoE, who has already been sent to the promotion tournament with their 7-game losing streak. And that leaves 3 teams in the middle. It's the 2 teams that we've been talking about in conversation with AoE for a bit. That's Blue Water and CCG. But they both picked up wins last week, and CCG specifically got their win over Winthrop University, who's now also sitting at 3-5 and currently outside of the playoff picture in 9th place. Now they have one more matchup against Supernova this upcoming Sunday, but CCG have one more game as well, and Blue Otter have 2 more games. Are we worried about Winthrop going down into the promotion tournament after all of the roster shenanigans that came through in the weeks going forward before the season started?
So, couple of context points before I get to the question at hand. First of all, how unlucky is it for Blue Otter that they finally get their upset and then CCG immediately wins too? Just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. I know that was a big conversation we had the last time that we recorded, but I mean, still big win for Blue Otter and their confidence moving forward. And just to give everyone the scenarios. So Winthrop mathematically is fairly safe. If either they win or Blue Otter or CCG loses any of their games remaining, Winthrop is safe. So actually Blue Otter might be able to win one, lose one. But so if Blue Otter goes 0-2 or CCG goes 0-1 or Winthrop wins their last remaining match, they are safe. So they're in a decent position. However, it gets really interesting where Winthrop probably loses to Supernova. I mean, they could beat them, but probably loses to Supernova. CCG has a winnable but difficult game against FlyQuest Challengers, which again would secure Winthrop their spot. But if CCG wins that game, that's where things get really spicy because Blue Otter, despite being a game back, they have 2 still to play against Team Liquid and Disguise, which if Disguise is fielding Brandini and Tenacity is a very winnable matchup. And not only that, but Blue Otter has a great game score because they've taken a lot of games. So it gets really spicy if Winthrop or CCG both cannot make it to the 4 wins. That's the cutoff for playoffs. And Blue Otter potentially wins games. So yeah, that's kind of the foldy sheet in a nutshell for everybody. To answer the question, no, I think CCG is probably just going to lose to FlyQuest. And even then, Winthrop's game score is good enough where there are scenarios where they're safe from the Blue Otter hand grenade sitting in 9th place right now. I think they should be fine, but they are not. If I had to give their odds of not going to relegation, I'd give them an 80%.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely real. They're tied in the record right now with CCG. And that matchup against Supernova is going to be a tough one. I mean, Supernova is a very solid team. Of course, they picked up a win 2-0 over DSG last week, and that's a pretty good sign for them. I really don't know, Hawk. I think it probably will be Blue Otter at this point. I think if you're a team that's kind of on the that's kind of towards the top of the table, having more games to play is a good thing because it gives you more opportunities to leapfrog teams. But if you're a team that's maybe towards the bottom half of the standings, it's more and more risk that you potentially have to take. And so I think it gets a little risky for Blue Water, especially if Disguise figures out their roster by the end of the season. But the fact that CCG and Winthrop already have those wins in the bank and Blue Water doesn't makes me a little bit more worried for them. Do I think Winthrop makes it out and makes it into playoffs? I mean, probably more likely than not, as you said. So yeah, another non-answer. But if I still had to pick one, and unfortunately probably is still Blue Water, just because they have more matches to play, which is more risk for them to continue to drop down.
I am going to stake my claim right here, Grapes, and I am going to say that I think CCG loses to FlyQuest to secure Winthrop playoffs, and Winthrop is safe. And I think Blue Otter upsets either Team Liquid Challengers or Disguised, and with their better game score, it's CCG in promotion or CCG in relegation.
Tough.
And I think Blue Otter goes. I think that's the scenario. That's the one. I'm gonna stake my prediction right now before Week 8 of the NACL. I think Blue Otter is able to clutch it out.
It's really sad because I genuinely feel like we have 9 very solid teams in the league.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
we do.
That is definitely not something that we've been able to say in the past, and I feel very confident about any of the teams that actually do end up getting sent down to the promotion tournament. I think that Dragoons Goons will beat AoE, but in terms of some of the other teams like in that conversation, like Lotus and Pulse, like I don't think that necessarily they are stronger than a Blue Otter who has spent an
Yeah,
entire split growing together against other really good teams in the NACL.
hard agree. I think either Blue Otter or CCG or even Winthrop, like, I don't want to say they're for sure safe because we know how promotion tournament can go, but I think like they would undoubtedly be the favorites, which I know we often cannot necessarily say about the NACL teams that go down, like Mirage or Lit, for example, last split, we're like, could be spicy, right? I
Yeah.
feel like whoever goes down, it would be very disappointing if they don't defend their spot.
Yeah, all 9 of those teams have played competitive games against all the other 9 teams, and so that's a very good sign for them going to the promotion tournament, and a sign that these are going to be really solid squads, and really really scary for some of these other squads. So
Before we move on,
yeah.
sorry, one sec before we move on to the next headline, I want to give a shout out to Levitate. I know we've been doing this a lot, but I really was
That's
a
my
hater
boy.
for this roster move. Levitate has had a spectacular first split in the NACL. Congratulations to him for rising to the occasion.
Hey, I told you, man. He's that guy.
I was
in these
I was
situations.
definitely. I mean, I and many people, not just me, but yes, I was wrong about how Levitate would perform, and he deserves the props.
Just doing his thing, man. He's got a couple more weeks to go, and he's been saying he's continuing to think he's playing better and better, and so
Yeah.
I hope that ends up continuing to be the case. Let's talk about the qualifiers for a little bit before we move on to our part 2, as we just had the Swiss bracket finish up, featuring a lot of new talent and as well as a lot of different results than maybe we did expect. Hawk, from the results here, who are the biggest, I guess, winners and losers from this weekend of gameplay that we saw?
Well, I'm going to start with the positives, Grapes. I'm going to start with the winners. Guangdong Flying Tigers. How about that team going 4-1? Took down L'Art de la Guerre in the final round to get to that point. And I mean, honestly, this team, I got to watch them beat BlackRock Esports on day 1. They are pretty good. And I do think in conversation to make it into the top 8 for this tournament, which would be a huge achievement for this team. So congratulations to them. Similarly, I think BlackRock, they went 4-1. Their only loss being to Guangdong Flying Tigers is a pretty solid showing. I know, Grapes, neither of us were really sold on this roster coming in.
On BlackRock? That's my promotion team, man. That's my Salt Street bed right there.
That's a good point. But
I didn't know the roster.
but like
when I made
neither of
that.
us
I didn't know
were
the
that
roster.
sold on them. Yeah. And I think that's just like a good showing for them. Like we want this team to be a contender, I think, and these players have all been in that realm in the past. Yeah, those are my 2 biggest winners, I think. The biggest one really is Guangdong Flying Tigers. I mean, like seriously, huge stuff from that team.
I'm going to be honest and say that I had not watched too much of the Swiss stage as I was probably
you.
sleeping/working while that was all happening. Being on like a 1 a.m. to 1 p.m. work schedule is tough. We're getting close to bedtime right now at 1 p.m. Pacific time for Hawks. But yeah, I'm very happy for this BlackRock squad. I know we had our concerns about Krakenon, but it looks like him coming in instead of Inori maybe makes this roster a little bit more whole and a little bit more well-rounded, which I'm excited to see. I hope that they can play around Inori B a little bit more this time around with Zhu at the helm, at the coaching staff. So I definitely have them as a big winner. And the Guangdong Fighting Tigers as well. They have a lot of the same pieces as that Nigel's roster from last split, but they also have Altia, who came back from this team after kind of I think being on the team in the spring and then coming back
too.
Yeah. And I'm actually pretty high on that guy. I think he's going to be a pretty solid player. All those Korean players from that Misfits roster, like I got my eyes on them for the remainder of the rest of their careers, just because of that team that they're on. They played some pretty good league. I think Altio is pretty good, and of course Evan Lai I think leads that team very very nicely. Grobcord also a pretty big winner. I don't think that people were I think kind of maybe confused about that team a little bit, but they have Barrick coming in, and he ended up not doing great against Eclipse.
I was about to say the
Komodo,
one game I watched, they got
but-
absolutely fucking ran by Komodo in like 23 minutes. So
But
I don't know.
I do think a player like Barrick coming in who has more experience in comp than just being on these kind of solo queue teams is going to maybe make this team a little bit better. And one last winner for me, I guess we got to talk about Maelstrom Esports, right? They went
Yeah.
all the way from seed 25 back up to go 3 and 2. They've got Paragon, who I think has been a pretty solid AD carry when we've seen him at this level on a team like Clown. Verdict has kind of always been jumping up and down, and they got the Cassante Merchant, Sappy Mass Salesman up in the top lane. Shout out to them for making it. I do think they were maybe a little bit underseeded just with the players that they have, although I probably would have had them around this range, but they ended up proving everyone wrong and making it into the top half.
Yeah, definitely some winners there. As for the losers, Scrapes, Ember Foxes going 1-4. They're definitely the new big dog. What the hell happened with that team? They definitely on paper should have been a top 16 team. Disappointing for them. Also, speaking of top 8 teams, Wang.
Yeah, that's
really
crazy.
Unfortunate 2-3. They had the misfortune of going up against the reseeded 25 seed Gentle Hearts Gaming, who had to go 3-0 on day 2 of the Swiss to make it into the tournament. And I mean, Wang was the higher seeded team. I'm gonna be honest. I would have had Gentle Hearts pretty easily seated above Wangtown based on tournament 1 tape, but c'est la vie. Wang, unfortunately, were not able to overcome them. I was sad to see either one of those teams go when I saw the matchup, and unfortunately it was Wang. But, I mean, they got upset earlier in the tournament, so it's the kind of thing where you can't get too mad at the seeding because, I don't know, don't lose in round 2 to whoever they lost to that they should not have. I'm trying to remember now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same roster.
Oh, wait, no, they beat that team. Wait, who the fuck? Sorry.
I'm looking right now, too. They lost to Team Dizzy, who's a 32 seed, it looks like.
Oh, yeah, just don't do that.
And Kosa Gamers, so...
Yeah, that's
tough.
That's tough for Wangtown. They beat Team Dizzy. They lost to Kosa Gamers. That's the one. They lost in round 1 to Kosa Gamers. Just don't lose in round 1 to a team you're supposed to beat if you want to go to GSL.
Yeah, sucks for them. Papa subbing in for them, fortunately wasn't able to make it out again, which is tough. But yeah, definitely that's the biggest loser in my head. Everyone else kind of has made it in that I was kind of hoping did. Shout out to PNWs as well. We'll talk about all these teams in just a little bit, but I think this is a nice place to kind of move on to our final headline, which is the groups that will be starting this weekend. We have, of course, Dragoons Goons going 5-0 over Polestar once again as history repeats itself. But we have our 4 groups kind of set up. Group A has Dragoons Goons, Apex Mission Impossible, Layard de
History
Guerre.
didn't repeat itself, Grapes. Hang on, because Dragoons Goons went 4-1 last time. Remember in that absolute banger against Polestar?
I completely forgot that they lost that game. It just
everyone did.
They were just so dominant.
They shouldn't have.
Yeah. Anyway, well, let's do this. We'll go through the groups as we talk about them right now. But Hawk, which one to you is the most interesting?
So, yeah, I'm going to start with the least interesting, I guess, and go to the most interesting just to kind of give an overview of all the groups. Group D, I honestly think that Guangdong Flying Tigers and Komodo should both pretty easily be able to get out of that group. I do think that's the least exciting group, although, Reluminate or Contingent maybe could press Guangdong depending on what their form is. And then Group A is obviously going to be Dragoons running the whole thing, and then Apex and L'Art de la Guerre kind of just like fist fighting for that second seed. That'll be interesting, that second seed race, and then Dragoons obviously gonna get out. For me though, Grapes, the most interesting groups are definitely Group B and Group C, where I feel like the number 1 seeds, Lotus and Pulse, should get out as the 1 seeds, but it's not a complete formality, and there's also other teams in the group that could do some damage.
They got the Ducks in Group B alongside Gentle Hearts and Gromcord. Now, because of the reseeding, Gentle Hearts ended up being the 4 seed in this group, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And so now they have to play against Lotus in round 1, which was a quarterfinal matchup in the first tournament. Let's remind everybody. So that is going to be very interesting
like a competitive 2-0. So
yeah,
maybe Gentle Hearts could do something there.
And Ducky Getters and Gromcord are both these kind of like kind of slapped together meme teams that will have a chance to maybe do some damage. I think Ducky Getters specifically, they never played Lotus, so maybe they will get that opportunity to upset them and prove that they are actually a team that could make it to the promotion tournament. Because that's the interesting thing here, Hawk. Two of our top 4 teams now are in the same group. They're both in Group
True.
B.
That's an important 10 points that are up for grabs. I didn't even think about that. Um, I would say that's probably the most interesting group. If I had to pick one, I think because Ducky Getters against Lotus is also a series we never got to see in the last tournament, and I would love to see it again. Even though Ducky Getters went 3-2, like I said, their losses were nothing to be ashamed of. And this is still a scrappy team. They're built for the best of series anyway, man. That's when they come alive in the true fearless. Same with Lotus though, to be honest. Uh, and then for everyone, Group C is Polestar against Maelstrom, which is probably not that exciting. But then BlackRock and PNW, I think, are both pretty solid teams. BlackRock, I think, has a legitimate claim to make against Polestar for the 1 seed in that group, which should be pretty interesting.
I think, yeah, BlackRock could be a team with like that, top 4 upside if they get a good matchup in the first quarterfinal round. So we'll see how they do against Pulse. They've been very up and down. They've had high highs and low lows, I feel like, for Pulse. And so that group could be a little bit up in the air. And if you want to see that group, I think you guys are streaming them on Sunday. Is that right?
Yeah, we're streaming BlackRock against PNW on Sunday, and on Saturday we're streaming Apex Mission Impossible versus Lair de la Guerre. So don't miss it. Canadian matchup. That's going to be a good one.
Canadian matchup once again. We love to see it. Well, make sure to catch those games on the qualifiers. But we're going to talk more about the NACLQ in our part 2. We're going to go through all 16 of these squads and rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. We'll see you there. We're here in Tier 3, where, of course, the biggest thing to talk about is most of the time the gameplay that these teams do end up playing. But there's always a little bit of extra that makes a perfect, great NACL qualifier team. It's not just the gameplay, it's all the other little things that constitute our great community and help us, really, really make us fans of these squads. And so we're going to analyze these 16 squads that'll be completing for those 4 promotion tournament spots, but in the way that we can best here in Tier 3, Hawk. Let's explain the criteria of what we're doing exactly before we start things off.
Yeah, so Grapes, the Olympics are going right now, as you well know, as someone working on the product for MVC Sports. And in the Olympics, there's a lot of performance-based sports that are graded by esteemed judges, generally on different categories, such as difficulty and execution, etc., things like that. I'm thinking of gymnastics, diving. Is equestrian a great sport?
I was about to say, I've been watching a ton of equestrian events now that I've been helping out at the Olympics with NBC a little bit more. And man, they do a lot of seemingly subjective ratings. I try to understand. I've been trying to understand what they do to judge the dressage, which is like when the horses like do a little dance and they like do like ballet.
When the horses crip walk?
Yeah, when the horses crip walk.
For context, before we started recording, Grape showed me this video of Snoop Dogg and what was it, like Kevin Hart?
If you haven't seen it, you have to just look up Snoop Dogg equestrian. It was really
funny. It was really funny.
It's maybe the greatest video of all time, and yeah, I hope Snoop Dogg makes his way to Versailles for Paris. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, they do these weird dances. They come up with these arbitrary ratings for in my head at least. Like I don't have the expert horse knowledge to figure out if the numbers are real or fake. And so that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna give you some numbers, and it'll be up to you to determine if they are real or fake. We're gonna be judging these qualifier teams off of 3 categories: gameplay, vibes, of course, the most important one, and then the logo, which is the most important part about Tier 3. Do you have a good brand? Do you have a good logo? And, in our heads, they all are exactly the same in terms of weighting. So that is the average, is what we're going to be taking for the purely objective NACLQ rankings.
Yeah. We are, of course, the true authorities, and much like the Olympics, no mortal human could grade these people the way that we do. Exactly. So let's get things started. We're going to go in group order, of course, starting with the number 1 overall seed. It's everybody's favorite Dragoons, Goons. And Grapes, we're getting it started with perhaps our gold medal winners, as they have pretty high scores across the board.
Yeah, this is like the team that does like the crazy 30 million triple double backflip Simone Biles move that like nobody else can do. But then they they land and then they misstep one little bit when on their landing.
They get solo killed 6 times and nice we won.
Yeah. You know, Dragoon getting solo killed 7 billion times is maybe the one little thing that they are allowed, the mistake that they're allowed to make because everything else is so perfect for them. I mean, they are really talented roster. We've like kind of hit it over the head at this point with how many times this team have had players at the top of the tier 3 space, even towards the top of the tier 2 space. When you think about players like Array, their vibes are great. Whenever we've been interviewing any of them, they are great. Kizno Dragoon, we got to talk to. We always know Sudsy's that content wizard. And then the logo, it's cute as hell. What
It's
can I
very
say?
cute.
What can we say?
Yeah.
We take 0.1 points off of the logo because it's maybe
It's
arguably
not
copyright. It could be DMCA'd with the minion on the top, but overall pretty good score, I would say.
Yeah, 5 known chillers playing damn good League of Legends with a goofy little hamster. I mean, what could you not like? I feel like that was pretty expected. 9.8 for Dragoons Goons. We'll see if they take home the gold medal as we progress, Grapes, but I think they have pretty good odds. We can keep things going, though. Apex Mission Impossible is up next, where a little bit more mixed across the board. I think specifically in the vibes and logo categories. Look, the scores are good. All these teams are going to get pretty good scores, just like the Olympics. They all deserve to be here in the first place. It's just more so they're nothing to really write home about. They're kind of just all right, you know.
Their best
Pocus
quality
is a known chiller, I will tell you that. But
their best quality is that they're just a very solid,
they're a good team.
fundamentally good League of Legends team. That's why their gameplay is their highest score. Is there anything else that really sticks out? The vibes seem to be all right. You know,
Yeah,
whoever
they're Canadian.
whoever runs their socials account makes weird comments. Like has you know, I hope that his relationship is okay after after supposedly spending a lot of money on his account on this team and maybe having to sleep on the floor. I think what he said when they announced the roster.
I don't
So
think I've seen any of this.
you didn't see that? When they announced the
No.
roster, the owner said, "I hope my wife lets me sleep in my bed." Did you not see that?
What?
You gotta look this up right now. It was basically I don't know. Very,
I'll look this up later. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
that's
That
the
definitely gives them a ding for vibes. Oh my god.
that's the most in terms of a brand that I've kind of
Yeah.
associated with this org.
They're
at this
like
point.
endearingly Canadian, and that's about it. I don't know.
Yeah. Logos, you know,
It's
all right.
It
It's fine.
does its job.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think our pretty average team here for
But they
Apex.
are good. They're a good team, right? So they get the gameplay. But yeah,
Yeah.
average score 6.8.
You know, I think there is a world where they can top 4. I think just like we talked about BlackRock a little bit earlier, like if they get the right matchup, if they play against somebody who's maybe on the downspin a little bit, they could end up in a good situation to make it to that semifinal.
I think it depends on how much better than everybody Komodo is, because it kind of
Yes.
remains to be seen. We'll see.
If they get to play like if they get to play a Group D team that they're a little bit more unproven at this point, I think Apex have a shot to make top 4.
Definitely playable. Yeah, they're a good team, and I'm excited to see them play. We'll move on to their opponent in round 1, though. La de la Guerre. They have a very hard team name to say, but Graves, something that immediately sticks out. The vibes on this team. Come on. It's the Barlow team. This is awesome.
Part of me is happy I'm missing this week, these next couple weeks, so I don't have to say this name. Like I've never took French. I took Spanish.
Dude, try saying it on cast when you're trying to fast talk. It's terrible.
Yeah, like this is just like the art of war in French.
It is the
what
art
this
of war
is,
in
right?
French.
Okay.
And that was mostly what Yanni and I were calling the team. But
The art
it's
of war in
funny
French.
to badly say the French and get roasted by Twitch chat for it.
Yeah, they got a full French Canadian team. It seems. I haven't seen Uni 1-3 play in a while. He was on some teams back in like 2022 or like in combines or something like that. But I remember him being all right. I think more like a bruiser player. I could be mistaken, but I think he played a lot of fighters and carries more often than not.
Had a good game in the game that I saw against Estrogen Gap.
I'm very happy that Flocan is back and playing. I think that guy was so good when he was on CCG for that one split. And I think pairing him alongside somebody like Maddie, who's a little bit more of a facilitating jungler, should be good. Excited to see Yumichi play in this league again. And I think overall the vibes on this team should be good. Barlow and Maddie are known chillers for sure.
Yeah. Honestly, maybe I lowballed them for their gameplay a little bit at 6.9, but it's funny, nice. But yeah, I think this team is really solid. The logo, by the way, I feel like a 7 is kind of just average. Like, okay, it's good. It doesn't really do much. I will say, this team came in third place at LAN ETS, and Barlow said they like really enjoyed playing together. They wanted to run it back for this qualifier. So, yeah, I'm excited about this team. I do think the vibes are definitely like pretty peak. I'm very excited to watch their game against Apex. I think it'll be extremely competitive, and also
Yeah.
endearingly Canadian.
We got their gameplay at 1 point lower, and I think that's fair just because of how, maybe they're a little bit more unproven, and specifically players like Yumichi and Uni have not played at this level, at least either in a while or like maybe ever for Uni. I don't remember exactly if he's
Can you
been at this
believe
level before.
that the only other time Yumichi played in Tier 3 was on No Name? I could have sworn there was like another team. She was a sub for 300, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think
It's crazy. I think she's so good, dude. Like,
well, we'll see. We'll see how she stacks up. I think this is a really fun bot lane group of AD carries. I think as we can move on to our last team here, which of course, did we miss one?
no.
No, you're right. We didn't miss one. Let's move on to Lotus. I thought this was where Maelstrom was, but they're actually in the other group. Okay, so they got Porsche, Dardock, Rodbob, Sushi, and Mixture. They're running it back. This is another very good team. I personally, from the outside, as somebody who did not watch much of Swiss, I'm surprised they lost to Pulse again after what happened last time in the semifinals.
Yeah. I'm surprised they lost to Pulse again as well. Still getting a very high gameplay score though, and then otherwise having pretty like good to above average scores across the board. Vibes, you got Robbie, like come on. Doesn't get better than that. Maybe losing points in other places on the vibes category. But the gameplay is obviously where things are going to stick out for this team. Definitely taking a ding though. I feel like they would be at a solid like closer to Dragoon's Goons if they didn't fall to Polestar.
Now, my question is this in your opinion the second most likely team to promote after Dragoon's Goons? I think so.
I would agree.
But
okay, my really hot take is if Komodo like wins the tournament and goes to promotion, I think it's them. But that's like a huge long shot. Does that make sense though?
Yeah, like that involves them winning. So like if that happens, then yes, they'd probably be up there. But right now, we don't necessarily know if that's going to happen. So
probably not.
It seems got good vibes. I'm excited to watch them play again, specifically their bottom lane. I really like Sushi and Mixture, what we saw from them in the first tournament. So hopefully you get to see some more of that. But this is a pretty standard team. You know them. They're running it literally the exact same roster
team.
again.
8.2 is a very solid score. I think that's the second highest we've seen so far. By good margin. So.
And again, it's all totally accurate as we weigh the logo as being boring, just as important as their gameplay being good. So let's move on to our next team.
I mean, it's a Lotus Flower.
Yeah. We got Gentle Hearts, who are going to be playing against them in that first round. Now, despite them being that 4-seed Hawk, I think this team is still pretty good. We still have their gameplay score pretty high.
I thought Gentle Hearts was pretty clearly like the 6th or 7th best team in the last tournament. I think they really ramped up, seemingly needing to do the exact same thing again in this tournament after the disaster class day 1 that they had. They get a pretty solid gameplay score. I'm pretty sure this is around the neighborhood in which we had Apex Mission Impossible, if not a little bit lower because of their disaster day 1. Vibes though are good. Again, like they've got PCL, Cross, Winter. These are some players that are very chill. Also, Devin, the most clutch player ever, which I feel like clutch mostly applies to gameplay, but also that's got to be a little bit of vibes, right? Like always locking in, backs against the wall.
Yeah.
That has to factor in.
I mean, you think about the Abandoned Kittens team and then this situation here, like it's kind of ridiculous. And Converse even too. That series that they played against Northwood, like he was
so
on
clutch.
one every single time. It's a big moment. And that's something that you can't always say about players that go up and try to get into competitive League of Legends. So Devin definitely doesn't lack that. I'm interested to see what happens here with Winter. I have not seen that guy play in a really long time.
Not since the incident.
And I thought Clyde was honestly pretty good coming into this team. So I'm intrigued at what this roster change could mean. I don't think it means too much, but if anything, I feel like maybe it just kind of makes the team a little bit worse, which I'm a little bit worried about.
Yeah, like at their peaks, Winter might be an upgrade, but I agree. I think Clyde had a great tournament 1, so we'll see how Winter does. He's been on some of the best amateur teams that we've ever had back in like 21. So you never know. But yeah, definitely it's been a while. But I think this team will be a good team, and the 7.9 overall score, like that's. I feel like upper middle pack for this team as far as the overall standings.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's move on to the rest of Group B. I think we got Ducky Getters next. Obviously just the best logo, or one of them. We can't give anyone a perfect 10. It seems like at this point, but this is the surprise of the first qualifier from 17 seed all the way to top 4, and I mean maybe some of the magic is gone coming to Tournament 2, Hawk, but I'm still excited to watch this team play.
Yeah, the Ducky Getters 8.1 gameplay. I feel like, to put it back into like the gymnastics diving terms, losing in some points in some of the intricacies of their gameplay. They might not have fully rotated the dive to hit the perfect vertical, but they're still attempting very high difficulty and by and large really impressing the judges. The vibes also, they have very unique dives. Doing some things that we've never seen other teams do, which definitely gets some points for that. And then, as you mentioned, the logo, the style points, coming in full force.
I spent the whole time you talking trying to think of a horse analogy for this, and I just none of it's there. It just doesn't.
Okay.
I don't got anything. I was like, this is like when the horse.
I thought you were about to like
unload
some equestrian knowledge for us.
Nope. I've really tried. It just doesn't. It's not coming out of here. But yeah, this team. I really like the way they played as 5. I think that's going to help them, specifically moving forward. Bai and Rough Beans, getting to see another split of them is going to be really fun. And yeah, I think overall, just another fun team in a tough situation with Lotus in their group, I will say, but still a possibility to promote. Technically, they have, more points than a lot of the other teams in the other groups that maybe are trying to sneak in there.
Yeah. The Ducks are still in a good spot. I'm really hoping they can continue on their winning ways. I also want to point out, bumping Lotus down to bronze, that currently Ducky Getters in possession of the silver medal. Logo diff really coming up clutch.
Yeah, most important part of an amateur team, obviously.
Very important.
I think half the reason why we all got behind Ducky Getters, like if they had like another name that wasn't Ducky Getters,
right,
and they made like no
Camcom would not tell us to stream the Ducky Getters every week if they weren't branded like this.
Like if they were just called like Bloodborne Gaming or something.
Right,
like
that's so boring.
Duck holding a knife? Come
Dude,
on.
it's so good.
That's part of
so
amateur.
Good.
Literally. Yeah. Narrative framing. That's what we do here. All right. Let's move on to our last team in Group B. That is Grompcord. Did you see their roster announcement?
Dude, absolute flames, man. Absolute flames.
Yeah, so we decided to share some of the addresses of the people as well that are on, maybe make amateur great. Great. I think this is a great score for Grompcord.
I agree. I think the only thing that matters is this, honestly. Perfect 10 for vibes, and that's it. We don't. Nothing else matters.
Is 10 IQ like just a new player? I've seen all the other players. I don't know who 10 IQ is.
I don't really either, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, I do think the other players are pretty good. So
yes,
they are in a.
Although YNO fucking went R2 Blitzcrank against Komodo, and it was so useless.
Well, yeah, his name is. Isn't his name YNO Blitz? That's his game name.
Oh, is it?
He's a Blitzcrank guy. Yeah, he's gonna lock that shit in.
You were more prepared for Grompcord than I was. Clearly, my bad.
You're not on that Grompcord pack.
I'm not a Gromper as of yet.
Isn't Akash coaching this team too?
Akash is coaching this team. They are, Grompcord fun team.
All right, take one last look at those addresses. We're gonna be moving them soon. And next team, Polestar out of Group C, almost running it back. They got 4 of the 5 same players. They originally had mobility, but it seems like AoE had some other plans, and so now they have Azog coming in from Castleberry, who did not end up coming back around this time. Another good team, Hawk. They made it to that 4-0 game once again. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, hey, they're a good team. 9.1 on gameplay. That's the 3rd highest we've seen so far. Everything else, like, honestly, just kind of average, and not in a bad way average. Just, nothing incredible for the vibes, but nothing bad at all. So the 7.6 comes out. Logo similar. It's a solid logo. It's not amazing. So Polestar getting a really solid 8 overall. I feel like there's not much to say about the score other than that they're good at League of Legends, and otherwise they're a pretty just middle of the pack team in terms of the vibes and the logo.
I think Azog is actually going to be a fun addition for this team. I think he has, some good team fighting. I'm excited to see Prismal back in support. I think he did a pretty good
Yeah.
job playing that
Did
position.
not have a good game against Dragoon's Goons, though.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
I like Azog as a player, though.
Yeah, I think Ariandel has been playing maybe his best split yet. Maybe it's just because he's been on a winning team, but I think part of the reason is because he's been doing well in team fighting.
A winning team that's also
scaling.
been willing to give him resources, though, which I feel like sometimes he doesn't get on other teams.
Yeah, and I'm excited to watch another split of Hoarder as well. I think that he still has a lot more to show us, and I'm excited. I think he can really be a good player in this league. So
yeah,
pretty solid
definitely.
stuff from Polestar. Again, we've seen a lot of this team already, so let's move on to somebody who maybe we haven't seen as recently. That's going to be Maelstrom Esports, a team that surprised a lot as they made it all the way up to this top 16. We got Paragon, who once again comes into the group stage after being seeded 25th. How about that? And they got Verdict, Snappy Mask Salesman, Zepre, I think, and Gabe X.
Honestly, not a lot to say about this team, Grapes. They're one of the teams. We always have a few of these every split that kind of scraped their way into GSL. I think they should be very happy to be here, and they should be very proud of their achievement. But also, they're losing in their heat more than likely.
Yeah, I was about to say something related to the Olympics that was not very nice, so we're gonna move on. Okay, hold on. You know.
You can't just like say that.
You know how like there's always there's I learned qualification for the Olympics. There are these things called universality positions, which are given to teams or players or athletes that are not necessarily the most worthy in terms of qualification, but because they're from like a country that doesn't necessarily bring in people that or that
wow.
are that high, they come in.
That's crazy.
That's not
bro.
what I'm
That's
saying.
crazy.
Maelstrom Esports is.
That's
but
crazy.
You brought up the point of teams that should be happy that they have made it to this point, and this is an achievement to them, and now they get to perform at this level. I think as we say every time a team like this comes in, we have to take a look at the individual performers more than the team as a whole and see who is specifically sticking out for them.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, you might be a swimmer from Tunisia, but all of a sudden you're against Katie Ledecky. Like it's tough. You know what I mean? It's tough.
Yeah, exactly. And I think is that French that I see on their logo? Is that why we brought them down, or is it just because it was different?
I don't really. I feel like it's just kind of boring. Like it just says Maelstrom Esports.
Okay.
That was my take on the logo. At
least,
it's
it's just letters. That is true.
Just kind of
Right.
there.
Well,
Look, we're excited to watch this team, but
after they 2-0 Polestar, we're gonna look really stupid.
If they 2-0 Polestar, I will do an apology, a public apology video that I will post on Twitter entirely in French. That is my bet.
I become the biggest Maelstrom Esports fan. Okay.
That is my bet, and you can hold me to it.
Let's move on to our next team, BlackRock. 4 of the 5 same players, and they have Krakodon in for Inori. Talked about this during the headlines. I think that this makes them maybe a little bit more well-rounded, and Krakodon will not take as many resources, but if he can play his game and help out his lanes, I think this could be a very good team that could, again, be in that contention for the top 4.
Yeah, overall, very solid scores here for BlackRock. Their gameplay is good, their vibes are solid, and their logo is good. Okay, deep cut for the logo. Do you remember the Lego Power Miners set from, like, way back in the day?
I'm looking this up.
It looks like one of the rock monsters from Lego Power Miners.
That is such a niche thing that you just...
Incredible deep cut.
Oh my god. How do you remember? What the hell is this?
I had one of them when I was a super Lego kid. I wasn't like into Power Miners necessarily, but I explicitly remember getting one of the sets.
You gotta put a picture of this like up on the video right now.
Yeah, I could do that. I could do that in post.
This is crazy. Yeah. Hey, that's a pretty solid logo, I will say. And it
so they
cool.
get above an 8 for the logo for that.
Yeah. They I can't believe you did that. Vibes
Just pulled
vibes
that
are
one
good.
out off the cuff, you know.
I know you're a fan of the Inori B AB bot lane. In terms of
squared.
vibes, the B squared bot lane. They're pretty fun. And the rest of the team's just some vibers as well. So
Yeah,
um,
it's a good team.
this was not the roster change I was expecting when it came to the Salt Street Bets. When I put them as my promotion team, but hey, sometimes instead of putting in more stars, you just need like a Derek White to fill in for Team USA. You know what I mean? Just like somebody who's willing to do the dirty work a little bit. And I think that's
You
maybe
need a
something that Krakenon's about to do.
Steven Nard Clark Kent.
No. That's different. That's like having like Steven Nedorozic is having like a specialist who can. He's not Krakenon's not a specialist. He's
I
a
don't know.
role
I've
player.
only seen him play Sejuani and Maokai so far this tournament. but-
Role player, willing to do the dirty work. He'll lock in those tanks, man. He'll do what's right for the team, and
Yeah.
sometimes that is better than getting a superstar. So
absolutely.
That's
that
my
wasn't meant to be flame. Just
that's
like,
my cope. That's
you
my
know.
cope for no. That's my argument for
Yeah.
for Krakenon coming.
All right. I respect it.
All right. Move on to our
keep going.
final team here in Group C, the PWs. I hate this name so much.
Really dumb.
Um,
Also, what the fuck is the logo? Like, I don't know what it is.
they definitely just like typed in give me a logo for the team P and W's on ChatGPT, and it gave him this.
Yeah.
That
Like,
is
He's
almost
making a W with his
assuredly
arms, and
what
it's P colored. I hate it. Anyway, super serious ratings here for this team.
There's always like the coal throw team that I'm a little bit worried about hyping up. Big Dog from last split, first instance. But I am excited now that they've made it. I'm excited to watch this team. I think Aljun getting his redemption would be pretty cool. Still always high on winking. Muzi is somebody who got a lot of hype in the Supernova tryouts this offseason, and so he's somebody that I'm excited to see play in this setting for the first time because I think he's making they're making their tier 3 debut.
Yeah. I think this is a fun team. Fun team, fun vibes, terrible logo. Yeah, and super serious ratings for them across the board for an extremely serious team.
Very nice, very nice. Let's move on to our final group here, Group D, the Guangdong Fighting Tigers, baby. Here
Fighting!
they are.
Oh man.
Flying Tigers. Sorry.
Boo.
Right there in the logo. Their logo,
Boo.
we gave their logo a 10. I do think it's very cute. However,
It's very
it
cute.
also was 100% ChatGPT generated because it was made by
but
Quest.
it's really cute. I feel like if we honestly should have given Ducky Getters a perfect 10 and then Guangdong like a 9.6.
I can't wait for them to beat a team like Lotus and Pulse, and then we can use the Adam Silver meme. Because this is literally exactly the team that that Adam Silver is, referring to in the meme.
Oh my
Guangdong.
god.
The Guangdong Tigers are like the best Chinese basketball team.
I did not know that. I just learned something.
Really? That's
Yeah.
the reason that's the whole thing. Yeah.
I'm
They
going to
go
be
the
honest, I
Guangdong
didn't even
Tigers.
realize the quote was actually real.
It's not real. It's still a
Oh,
meme,
see, I
but-
thought it wasn't real. Okay.
Yeah. But this is the reference. This
Right.
is the reference
Okay.
here. So
All right.
they're gonna win, and we're gonna use the meme. They lost the Guangdong Tigers. There's definitely also some other. Oh no! You know the Shaq meme where the who he play for thing where he pulls out the Guangdong Tigers. That's what this is referring. You gotta
That one's too deep for me.
I'll
I'll throw this up on the screen. I'll throw this up on the screen as well. I'll find it.
He's either playing in China or Japan. We need to be not the name of the more specific.
Guangdong Tigers. Ni hao! Ni hao! Ni hao!
You're right. I don't know ball. I have told you many times I don't follow the NBA. College basketball, I got you, bro. But
those are my guys. I love that. Evan Lai back on this team alongside Elias, but everyone else is a little bit different. I think we last saw Realms as a part of Wang Dynasty in like 2023.
Wasn't Realms just on Grompcord?
Oh, you're so right. Yeah, no, he was, and he went 4-1, which means we have to rate them pretty high.
Yeah. I think this team's actually pretty good. They had like a genuinely very good win, like quality win over BlackRock that we had on stream. giving them an 8 for gameplay. Like, still, I think jury's a little bit still out on them. They had one really good event. You know, they nailed the balance beam, but now it's time for the floor routine, okay? Like, they still have uneven bars coming up. There's a lot of things that they have yet to prove. So
they gotta do the other horse thing.
The women don't do the pommel horse, but yeah, they
no, like horses, like equestrian.
Oh. I really appreciate you continuously trying to shoot an equestrian in.
There's an event called eventing, which is like the horse triathlon, where you do the ballet, horse dancing on day 1, then you do a cross country race on day 2, and then you do the jumping thing on day 3. So
the jumping thing.
You do they run around the little course and they jump over the obstacles.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I just appreciate the super serious.
No, I'm professional. I'm getting paid to learn about this. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, good team. They played well. They went 4-1. Genuinely excited to watch some. Extremely adorable logo, and vibes are pretty mid just because we don't know about most of these players, and I'm excited to learn about them.
All right. Super. Yeah, I'm also excited to learn about them. So, I think these are all players that we've seen good stuff out of, but now getting a full split as a team that is expected to contend for that quarterfinal spot should be very cool. I got my eyes on LTO, as I said at the headline. So
yeah,
we got a couple more teams left here to round out this section. For Illuminate, kind of surprising that they made it here to this stage, but they've got that guy, Nightstar, in the bottom lane. We last saw him on Castleberry last split, and still a pretty good player.
Yeah, Nightstar's crazy, and Illuminate, they got some fun players. Moz, I want to say first GSL stage for Moz. He's tried a few times. I don't know if he's gotten here before. Ivan also making it back after a long time, Grapes. So there's some good gamers on this team that I'm excited to see at the stage. Overall, though, another one of those teams that I feel like kind of just scraped their way in and is generally happy to be here. And then also the logo is decent.
It's all right.
It's a pretty R.
It's a cool R. Yeah. I it's called Reluminate, so it's like illuminating light.
Right.
Got the R's. Well thought out. Yeah. I'm excited to see Nightstar play again. I don't know much about their top laner or support at all, so we'll see. We'll see how they do.
Lancelot Link is a great name.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there. I don't
do agree.
know what it means, but appreciated.
All right, let's talk about maybe one of the most exciting teams that are new, that are coming into this split, and that is Komodo, the return of basically Taco Gaming from summer 2022, Hawk, as you have rightly pointed out, or spring. Oh yeah, spring, because
summer was the one with Shochi that won it all.
Yeah, but Eclipse, Trickster, Doxa, Lynx, and then instead of who was it, Rovex or something like that, it's Pika Pika.
Yep. Yeah, it was Rovex on the team, but yeah, 4 out of 5 from spring 2022 Taco Gaming. And Pika Pika is genuinely it's like Pika Pika and Mixture are like the two like pretty hype support prospects right now.
I have been corrected. It is Gweiss that was playing on that team, and then he got replaced by Rovex in Qualifier 2. Just wanted to put that out there.
What? Gweiss played on Taco Gaming?
Yeah. I do remember
that
now, because they made the swap, and then they were like, "Thank you, Gweiss," and they made a little post about him. He played one.
I genuinely don't remember this, but I also was I was noob in 2022 spring, so
he played the first OQ. He wasn't on the team that made it to finals against no team.
Right. When they made quarters or something in that first.
They made quarters. They lost to Immortals AOE.
Right. I do. Okay. I don't remember Gweiss being on that team, but I remember the team as a whole. Well, either way, fun
also,
support prospect. We
just realized as well, Eclipse was not on the spring team. Eclipse was on the summer team. I'm looking at the logos right now. So, Eclipse was on Summer OQ1.
Really?
Yeah, so it's technically not... They were all on Taco Gaming at some point, but Cozy was the starter on Taco Gaming for the entirety of the
I thought it was flipped. Okay, yeah, I mean, I believe you. Man, Taco Gaming had some good players in 22. Yeah, because
Eclipse was on Dig Academy in the spring split. And then he moved off.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. The team with, Dark Wings and stuff.
With Dark Wings and, yeah.
Oh, my God. Wow, that team was kind of bad, but... Darkwings was good. Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Eclipse in comp. The gameplay, we said this earlier, I feel like depending on how good Komodo actually is, like, this team can be really solid. They had a pretty strong showing. They got upset in the second round off of some Doxa shenanigans. I think I talked about this earlier in the podcast. That wasn't off air, right? I talked about it earlier.
Yep.
But they still should be a really good team. We know how good Trickster and Lynx and Pika Pika can be. Eclipse coming back had a really dominating game over oh my god, who do they play? Barrick and Grompcord. However, Eclipse and Trickster camped the shit out of Barrick, so I don't consider it too strongly. Barrick got absolutely bullied that game. Vibes are phenomenal though. I always love reunion teams, Grapes. Known chillers on this team, and the logo is kind of cute, so they get Nate for that.
I will say, I remember the last time Komodo played in OQs as this roster, and it didn't end up going well. I think they bombed out of the group stage. So
yeah, but they didn't have Lynx on that team, right?
they did not have Lynx on that team. They had somebody else who was also good, I thought. Let me take a look. I'm doing some research right now. Sorry, this episode is so
many
scuffed.
qualifier teams that have played together. Yeah.
This episode is a little scuffed, but it's okay because we're having.
Well, we're like just randomly deep diving history right now too. So yeah.
That's the true nature of Tier 3. I keep looking up Komodo, and I keep getting this dude named Komodo who played in Turkey. That's not what I want. I want the team. Tournament results. North American team. All right, there we go.
It was just Doxa and Trickster. I think the rest of the roster was completely different, right?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, it was very different.
It was Alorum, who's now coaching this team.
No, it was Mabud, Frostforest, Doxa, Aaron, and Sarcasm. That's what it was in the summer split. And then they changed their roster out for some other people.
Didn't they have Alorum on a Komodo team at one point?
No, I don't think so. Not at least not what I'm looking at here. They had Mabud and then they had Topo swapping.
Oh, I guess Alorum would have been on Mirage Alliance. So yeah. Huh.
Yeah, I just remember they lost the Grandpa Gamers. They made me sad. So don't do that again, Doxa. I know you have different players around you this time. So I would love it if it happened.
He played really well in the win against Grompcord, so that's good.
All right. I do think this is a better team than the other Komodo team in terms of just the players. Interested to see what Eclipse looks like after we haven't seen him play in a while. But I remember he was all right when he was on Taka. So
yeah.
Let's
I mean, the
move on.
gameplay, I think this is the fourth highest team that we have rated for gameplay. They should be very good. Vibes are very high. Logo's solid. If I'm not mistaken, this might be the second highest overall score that we have, Grapes. This team is going to be a good addition to the space.
Good Tier 3 team. I'm glad that they exist. Yeah.
We like
We got two more teams left, or maybe one more team left.
This is the last one.
Contingent Esports to wrap us up. Running back the roster that got them into the top 16, but they kind of didn't do too much once they got into that phase. Hawk and I think we're thinking the same thing this time around.
Yeah, another one of those teams. Again, even though they're making it back, I still don't expect them to do much damage. Fun team though. They're a Tier 3 team. They're pretty basic. The logo's an hourglass.
Logo's cool. I actually was happy. I actually thought this logo was pretty cool when they first came in. I feel happy for this squad. For this org. They found a group of 5 finally after.
I like some of the players on this team. Like I think War Cyclone's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like Contingent has tried to make it into this place for the last couple of years, and now they finally did, and they have a roster that they like, and so another team where I think the biggest thing is to keep an eye on the players more than the organization, because there's a lot of very, very talented teams here, Hawk. But it seems like, maybe correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like this OQ is very wide open. Like there's Dragoons Goons at the top, but then I mean, Lotus and Pulse are good, but then you also have these other teams that could sneak in there if they end up underperforming, and those promotion spots. I mean, that fourth one is really going to be up in the air. I really don't know.
I'm going to take the slightly more pessimistic take. I do think we have a pretty clear top 4 that are going to be difficult to overcome. However, to your point, there are 4, 5, 6 teams that at the very least can challenge those top 4. Whether or not they'll actually beat them is another thing, but they're going to try to punch above their weight class and make their mark.
Yeah, I think this will be a very interesting tournament to watch, especially the first couple of weeks. So make sure you tune in starting this weekend, of course.
We should have done this ahead of time just to go over our podium. We didn't make a slide for it, but it was Dragoons Goons at number 1, Ducky Getters taking the silver, and Komodo taking the bronze for as far as we feel about our tier 3 teams.
Nice. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I'm thinking through it in my head right now. Ducks get their quality logo and brand points. Komodo get their player vibes points, and then Dragoons.
Yeah.
All right. Well, another successful Salty Runback episode. I know it was a little more scuffed. I am about to just pass it out right now, so I apologize if I was acting a little strange, especially towards the end.
Don't worry,
but,
we've recorded at like 2 a.m. plenty of times. It's the same vibes.
Same vibes, yeah. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you support the broadcast for the qualifiers, as well as the NACL, as we still have a lot of really fun stuff happening there as we get ready for playoffs. Once we get to make our playoff brackets again, Hawk, that's when I know we're really in the thick of things. So I'm super excited for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, we are definitely getting into the most fun part of the season. Back half is always amazing. You know, we're kind of getting out of like the doldrums of the NACL split, right? Every match is really starting to matter, especially when we talk about the race for relegation at the end of the regular season, as well as playoffs. And then, of course, race to promotion for tier 3. If you think that Dragoons Goons is not the most well-rounded gold medal winning team here in tier 3, you can take what we said with a grain of salt. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media at Salty Runback Pod, at Hawkcast, at Speedy Grapes. And I hope you all stay safe and have a great